Hello there, Chelsea fans. You're welcome to the channel. So, amazing performance from Chelsea. Chelsea fans, amazing performance. Four goals to one. Brilliant performance, in my opinion. Goals from João Pedro, of course. Two goals from Delap, brilliant. And then, of course, you got to go. And then, of course, you got to go from to four goals in all. Brilliant performance, in my opinion. So, what are thoughts and opinions on the game? We got to go from Liam Delap, two goals, João Pedro, one goal. Amazing performance. Let's have a quick look. Have I forgotten who scored that goal? Who got that goal for Chelsea? Chelsea fans, who's got the goal? Who got the goals? Yeah, Kubi's own goal. That's what I forgot. Own goal from the AC Milan player. That was about say 5 minutes or so into the game, or even slightly less. So overall, I think very good performance for Chelsea. Although 5 minutes into the game, I would say the game sort of drifted a bit. There was a lull in the second half, but overall, amazing performance. Cole Palmer was very good in my opinion. His free kicks, I think, he's really improving with his free kicks. So, improving with his free kicks. So, he's really improving with his free kicks. So, amazing display from him. Although he clipped the outside of the post with the first one, and the other one was pretty close as well. So, but it's nice to see that he's actually improving in that regard. And I know some people say, "Oh, he didn't score, or he didn't assist," but the way he ran the game, that's something that I've been calling for. It's good to see Cole Palmer scoring a hat trick, getting hat trick of assist as well. But this is maturity is shown in the last game, and this game as well is what I want to see. Hold the game, get your teammates in. You don't always have to be the guy that hits that killer pass every time or scores the goal every time. But as long as you get your team playing very well, that should be brilliant for you. And then when your goals begin to come, that's even better. So for me, really was I'm really pleased with his play. And then as well, I think Gittins was okay, but I think he kind of was a bit afraid. Would I say slightly afraid or skeptical when Loftus-Cheek moved close to Musa as the fullback for AC Milan. So he was a bit tentative with respect to cutting onto his stronger foot. But overall, I think he was decent. He will come good, and that's one area I wanted to point out with Enzo Maresca. I think while in the last game and indeed in this game as well, I noticed where Enzo Maresca allowed the team to go long when the opposition AC Milan in this game, pressed high up in Chelsea's own half, was willing for a team to go long. But one other tactical thing I would love to see is this, when you've created that 1v1 situations with the fullback and that winger has gone past say Gittins or Garnacho if he's signed, and Estavayo Willian or Pedro Neto have gone past that fullback. The normal thing for the opposition to do is, okay, we are not just going to let you go past that fullback. We're going to bring someone else to support the fullback, maybe a defensive midfielder or drag the centre back in that direction. So that's where the fullbacks of Chelsea now come into play, make the overlapping runs on the outside. And I didn't quite see that in this game still. So I think going into the Premier League, when those situations arrive, because they will always arrive, because no one wants to see you, just skin their fullbacks. They want to respond tactically. So, but overall, good play from Chelsea. Absolutely dismantled AC Milan today. The red card was well deserved red card to Zikubasi, is that his name? Well deserved. And I don't know why Tomori was complaining or what he was complaining about. I don't quite understand it. Didn't quite get it. What he complained about he was the last man. He fouled João Pedro. So own goal 5 minutes in, brilliant cross in, and as well, I'm sure the sun got into the eyes of the goalkeeper, Minion, and also affected the AC Milan defender. Unfortunately, from that perspective, he considered the own goal. So fair play, but good start into the game. And then João Pedro, lovely header. One thing with goal scoring for strikers is that it becomes a habit. So I was really pleased with seeing João Pedro scoring, that goal. and being an absolute handful, because moments later, the Kubasi got sent off. I don't like to say he got Kubasi sent off. He didn't simulate or anything. Kubasi actually fouled him. So the red card was deserved. It was handful the way he drops into the midfield to get the ball, link up with Palmer, try to set up his teammates, making supporting runs. So brilliant play overall from João Pedro. And I know I'll speak about Liam Delap in more detail later on in the stream, on this video. But it's good that Chelsea have two strikers that have different profiles. While this is not disrespectful at all, this is just one attribute that he has. You have a Liam Delap that is forceful. It can be a battering ram at times. Never gets tired of running. Puts the defenders under pressure. And then you have a João Pedro that is more refined, more silky with his play, that can drop deep into midfield, support the likes of Cole Palmer, and link up play that way. Brilliant. And I also like the way Enzo Maresca used his substitution in terms of Liam Delap and of course what's his face now, and of course João Pedro. I think that's how the Premier League will be as well. You start the game, João Pedro will be the striker to start, and then when he's with his technical play, he's run the opposition into the ground, say 25 minutes to go, 30 minutes to go, then Liam Delap comes on and makes life absolutely horrible for the opposition. So top play overall. And then I think Tyree George was okay today as well. He was okay. It wasn't fantastic, but it was okay. But my word, I know it was a 4-1 win. I know it's a game where we're all happy about, and I'm super happy with the performance. Although I said there were lulls in the game, but overall was a top performance. But I have to talk about Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto struggled this game. I must be honest. He struggled in this game. And I've said it before, on this channel and on other channels that I've been on as well. Pedro Neto, I know in this age, when you have someone who is left-footed, or wingers now must play on the opposite wing of their favored foot. So if you're left-footed, you play on the right. If you're right-footed, you play on the left. But come on, I think Pedro Neto, we should all agree, his favored position is wide on the left, like an orthodox winger, because he just struggled all through this game, and there have been many games that way. I said it for Wolves, right? Why he was so good at Wolves was every team would press high up against Wolves. Every team. The teams who are in traditional top six, the teams who are on the same level with Wolves, because if you're on the same level with Wolves, you feel you're going to get your 3 points or your 6 points from 2 games against Wolves. So you push high up. So you always have that space to run in behind. His superpower is getting the ball, head down, running to the byline and putting the crossing in. That's what I think about what's his face now. That's what I think about Pedro Neto. So he really struggled in this game, and he looked like he didn't want to be on the pitch today. That's just my assessment. I don't know what your opinions are with respect to that, but he just looked like he didn't want to be on the pitch. And then Estevao William came on in the second half and really showed some willing to try some tricks. But I think sometimes he just slightly overdid it. But overall, he was a breath of fresh air. He got fouled for the penalty that Liam Delap scored. Now, I have to talk about Liam Delap right now. So really happy he came on and scored those 2 goals. Amazing. Happy that for him, happy for Chelsea fans, happy for Enzo Maresca, the Chelsea head coach. So happy that he got the goal. The penalty that Estevao William got fouled or won, he converted, and then he got a pass from Andre Santos to top off a very excellent performance for Chelsea. But this is what you get with Liam Delap. We just have to embrace it, and we don't need to go to the extremes when we're criticizing or analyzing this game. We don't have to, because, right, in the first game, he showed his rawness. He showed his inexperience at this level, right? He was always making the runs close to the winger. Each time the winger would get the ball, rather than making the runs towards the box where the ball would always come centrally, he was always running towards the fullback. Towards the winger or whoever was to put the cross in. And that's frustrating. And people were going, oh, Liam Delap is so bad. And we're going so. two extremes. So no, for me, I felt that was wrong. I felt there was no nuanced sort of analysis of his game, right? And then into this game, we saw the best of him, putting pressure on Mike Minion, putting pressure on the AC Milan defenders, and absolutely brilliantly converting that penalty from the spot. And also, first time strike, he gets that ball, smashes it into the net. And I'm not trying to be too negative on Nicholas Jackson. I know it looks like he will be leaving the club soon, so fair play to him. But that goal that Liam Delap scored, Nicholas Jackson wouldn't have scored it, because that instinct in the box that every striker has, I don't think Nicholas Jackson has that. So fair play, Liam Delap got that goal. Brilliant, happy for him. He got 2 goals, so at least you could have people off his back, because people are already going mental already, and you have some rag newspapers going on writing some extreme epithets about Liam Delap. But he was good today when he came on. And then Esugo, I think Esugo was very good again, another very good performance. And like I said, Esugo is what Chelsea needed, but Chelsea fans didn't quite know that he was needed, because Caicedo is so good, so good, so good. And I'm not saying he's coming in to take Caicedo's place. No, of course not, because we saw Caicedo on Friday, we saw him today, we saw him in the Club World Cup, excellent as usual. But you need to give the likes of Caicedo rest, especially this season back in the Champions League. So you must play your strongest team in those European fixtures. Premier League as well. If you want to finish as high as you can finish in the Premier League table, you need to play your strongest team. So the ability to bring the likes of Esugo off the bench, Andre Santos off the bench, just increases the level of your team, because that allows you to rest your top performers, and you bring people that when they come on, the levels don't drop. They maintain the level. They maintain the level of the game. And that's one thing Chelsea, lacked last season, where when Caicedo was playing, you look at the bench, even with 10, 15 minutes to go, you don't see anyone that can come on. You didn't see anyone that could come on and sort of maintain the Caicedo level. But with Esugo, I think you've got that one. So you get Caicedo starting the game, playing 60 minutes, 75 minutes, 80 minutes. You have someone that, can come in, plug and play in that midfield, and, the levels don't drop. Same thing with Enzo Fernandez. He struggled today, if I'll be fair. He struggled today. Let's just put it down to, being a bit tired, being a bit rusty after all this preseason game. And then come the first game of the Premier League season, he will come good. He'll be, he'll be at his best. So, but as for today's game, Enzo Fernandez really struggled, in my opinion. And I want to say as well is Gittins, you need to get braver, man. Had a good performance, but you need to get braver. You need to get braver. And Enzo Maresca as well has to be alive to these things. Because like I said at the top of the video, and I said in other videos as well, no team would let you skin their fullback time in and time out. No one would want to do that. Because they know if we let Estevao Willian 1v1 our fullback all game long, he's going to skin them. If we allow Gittins 1v1 versus winger all game long, we're going to skin them. So if you're playing and you see that the wingers are being doubled up on, then you need to let the fullbacks overlap. Don't just leave them packed in the midfield. Overall, I love the way the team control play, or the way, the team passed, build-up play and all that. But for that goal, that goal was a goal that shouldn't have been considered. Yes, we won 4-1. Amazing performance. I keep saying it, Chelsea fans, it was a good performance. But I just have to pick out some things, because don't accept in the loss, in a victory, what you wouldn't accept in the loss. That's a philosophy that I think we all should have in life. If you see something wrong when you win, you should pick it out. Don't just wait for when you lose, then you want to complain about everything. That goal, you had enough people back there to have spotted Fofana's run. You had Tosin, you had Gusto, you had everyone right there, and then he scored that goal. So I think overall, good goal from Fofana, but Robert Sanchez, I must say this, I know he's riding a high wave after the Club World Cup, and today he was fairly decent as well. But come on, Robert, how are you being beaten at your near post? This is just typical being beaten at the near post, and the shot wasn't rifled in. It wasn't one of those ones where the player absolutely rifled the shot and it just smashed into the net. Goalkeeper couldn't do anything about it. It was just a normal level, regular level shot, and he should have saved it. So these are the things where it makes you scratch your head. People are going on about Fofana and all that stuff. I mean, Mike Mignon, the AC Milan goalkeeper, the Chelsea dodge bullet. For me, I don't care. I don't care about Mike Mignon. I want Chelsea to have a good goalkeeper. I don't care what AC Milan do with their goalkeeper. If he stays with AC Milan, that's his business. That's for them. For me, is Robert Sanchez. Certain things he does in games makes it really, really difficult for me to say confidently Chelsea can go into the league and win the league title. Because it means every game Chelsea has to be leading by 2 clear goals with 10 minutes to go. With 15 minutes to go, maybe 3 clear goals, because he will always do something, or he will always concede a goal that when you look at it, you say, I don't think he should have considered that goal. So that's a goal he shouldn't have considered, in my opinion. So, but overall, fair play. So I think the way this team sort of looked, that's how it could look at the start of the season. But I would say Pedro Neto, since he didn't cover himself in glory, that means maybe his position is still shaky. Although I know I've said earlier on that he will be the starting right winger come the start of the season. And as the season progresses, he will be eased out and Estevao Willian will become the starting right winger. But if he puts up more performances like this, it could end up that Estevao Willian gets his starting berth sooner than even I expected, in my humble opinion. So what do you think about João Pedro? Let me think about how you rate him, his performance today, his performance in the previous games, and do you see him as the outright starter? The outright starter for Chelsea going into the season. Those opinions about that one. Cucurella as well. Usual, we're beginning to take for granted Cucurella 8 out of 10 performances in his sleep. So wakes up, gets to the field, 8 out of 10. So today I'll give him a 9.5 in my grading. When it comes to grading the players, I'll give Cucurella a 9.5 because he does things that are just crazy to some people. Like the way he invests into midfield, supports the attack, drops back in defense is just mad to me, in my opinion. It's just crazy. Normal fullbacks, normal people don't do that. To play like that, you need something slightly loosened in your head in a very good way. I mean that in a very good way. So Cucurella, top performance in my opinion. I think Tosin struggled a little bit, although I've been an advocate for Tosin because I feel a lot of people sleep on him. A lot of people just look past him when they're talking about defenders for Chelsea. But today he struggled a little bit against the physicality of Leao, and surprisingly, Leao was played through the middle. He's usually played out wide, but today he was played through the middle. And I think even in the Liverpool game, I think he was played through the middle as well. So his physicality was sort of a problem for Tosin today. But I think Tosin had a decent game, not a super decent game, just an okay game, but he struggled a fair bit, in my opinion. So he needs to cut that out of his game when you have to deal with physical strikers or physical forwards like what's his face, Rafael Leao. So that's what I'll say about Tosin. Chalobah as well. It was okay. Not great. To be fair, Tosin and Chalobah were okay, but not great. And I just hope supposedly his knock he got isn't super serious. But thankfully we saw him walk on his own out into the dugout, or at least walk out of the pitch. So fair play. Hopefully he's fit. No more injuries. You don't want any more injuries, in my opinion, because Colwill is gone. Now, according to some reports, Chelsea looking at or considering Nkapie. Nkapie, that's the Bayer Leverkusen, the left-sided centre-back. So for me, Is it what Chelsea wants to get? Let's see if Chelsea indeed goes for him. So you don't want a raft of injuries, not this close to the start of the season, in my opinion. Reece James was Reece James. I think he's getting back into the flow of who he is. You know, Reece James, I've always said it's an unfair player to play against. He's unfair to play against because there's no way you can really get the best of a fit Reece James. Pace, he will match you for pace. Now, you say you want to bully him, that's not going to happen. You're not going to outmuscle Reece James. So he's a player that's unfair to play with, to play up against, because he matches you all round, physicality wise, athletic in terms of athleticism, and in terms of technique as well. So he put in a very good performance today, in my opinion. Reece James, to fair play with him in that regard. Caicedo, as usual, put in a very good performance today. But there's something I have to pick out in about this game. So I have to do it. I'm sorry, because even in a victory, you have to pick out things that didn't go well or that people didn't do well. And that was this thing where you have the ball in the middle of the field, pass, and then you have a winger just in acres of space, and the ball won't go to the winger. And then you have this thing where you pass to one man, pass to the next man, and then before you get the ball to the last person to pass to the winger, that chance is gone. So that's something that I would pick up as well. If we could get the ball quickly played, to the winger that's in space, that would really help Chelsea a lot, especially when you're coming up against low blocks. Because if you're going to be slow sometimes like that, then they're just going to stifle you, in my opinion. And then Tyreek George came on the second half. I think he was okay. I think he was slightly better than Gittins in terms of taking on his man, being brave to take on his man. So fair play for me. I don't want him to leave, but I just have this sneaky feeling that Tyreek George is going to leave because Garnacho is going to come in, and I don't see how you have three wingers and you give all of them game time, except you say one is just going to play in the cup games. Not by cup games, I don't even mean Champions League, except you're just going to say one is going to play League Cup and FA Cup. Maybe so. Let's see how the shakes down. Apparently Chelsea have agreed personal terms with Garnacho. So talking about the game, overall a fantastic game. It's good to see two strikers smashing in the goals, scoring goals. It's nice to see. So we're going to the start of the season with two strikers who are high in confidence, in my opinion. So really good from that perspective. And then back to the point of talking about Cole Palmer. And then if I go to Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, sorry, man, he really struggled. He really struggled today. He didn't have a good game by any stretch of the imagination. He didn't have a good game, but it was very, very good towards the end of last season. Very good in the Club World Cup as well. So fair play to him in that regard. But for the particular game, he really, really struggled. Cole Palmer, I've talked about him before, but I'll talk about him yet again. I hope no one gets offended about that. But he was very good, because right now I think he's coming into that maturity level, that mature level where you don't want to be the guy that scores the goals every time. Because I think at some point last season, he would force things and would lose the ball. In the Wolves game, in the Fulham game, in the Crystal Palace game last season, he would force things a bit too much and he would lose possession. And the other team would counter. But now he's willing to have the ball. I see someone in space, have it. Then I make the secondary runs, waiting for the ball to get back to me. So brilliant overall for Cole Palmer. He did what Cole Palmer always does and has improved. So this is Cole Palmer 2.0 in my humble opinion. And as well, his timing of his runs in the box was something I really liked as well. And I must point this out. So this is something that Enzo Maresca sort of incorporated into Chelsea's game now, and I'm really, really loving it, because it's all well and good playing all these short passes, tiki-taka is lovely, but those inverted crosses into the box, I just loop it over into the box that goes between two defenders, and you have someone making the runs into the box, that will get Chelsea a lot of goals come the start of the season. I'm telling you, mark my words. And Cole Palmer, fair play, should have scored that chance, but the technique he tried was a tough one, a difficult one to pull off, and unfortunately he didn't pull it off. But it was nice to see that tactical sort of infusion by Enzo Maresca, and nice to see that Cole Palmer is now making the sort of late runs into the box. So that means more goals because he missed that bit, but probably you definitely will not count against Cole Palmer taking those sort of chances once the season starts fully. So top play from Cole Palmer, and I must talk about his free kicks. I don't know if I've mentioned it previously on this video, but I think he's improving on his free kicks right now. He didn't score, but even if he didn't score, you can see what he was trying to do, and he was also close today. The first one he had Mike Minion beating all ends up. The ball just clipped the outside of the post, but the second one was so close as well. But overall, I think he's improving in that regard. And so to see Cole Palmer improving is something you love to see, and that would be scary, but not for Chelsea, but scary for a rival fans. So happy days on that front. Estevao Willian, he came on. For me, it was a breath of fresh air to see him come on, and then Pedro Neto pull off, because Pedro Neto, like I said, he struggled today. He really, really struggled. And Estevao Willian actually looked like someone who was willing to take on his man, which is something that Pedro Neto, for whatever reason, struggled to do today. Estevao Willian was willing to run at his man and show some level of skill, artistry, and I really enjoyed that. There was one moment in the game where I can't quite pronounce the name of AC Milan player. I think it's a Belgian player as well. He used to play for and was on loan to Roma. And then for me, Estevao Willian tried to dribble him, and he tried to not make Estevao Willian like, when you're playing, you're at your own box, but for fair play. And Estevao Willian, again, his composure on the ball, his maturity, because I have to point this out. It's not the sexiest thing to point out, because we all want to see pace. We all want to see skill. We all want to see our wingers and 10s gliding past 3-4 players. Don't get me wrong. I love to see that as well. But the maturity that Estevao Willian showed in this game, at some point, the dribble is not on. I'll lay it off to my teammates, make the supporting runs. So love to see that. And then his run into the box, which is something I highlighted in the last post-match analysis of the game versus Bayer Leverkusen. Those runs into the box, I love it. The game against Bayer Leverkusen, he made those runs into the box, got the penalty, scored the goal. This game, he made runs into the box and got that penalty. So you can see that's a subtle attribute in his game that if you don't watch closely, you probably wouldn't notice. So happy overall with his play. Maybe he gets to start over Pedro Neto, let me know. So if you would want, let's just say this, between Pedro Neto and Estevao Willian, who would you want to start next season? Who would you be looking forward to see start on that right wing, in your opinion? So let me know some opinions. And then speaking about João Pedro, I've talked about him before. He got the goal. He got that goal. Brilliant goal in my opinion. So now I'll go around for player ratings. Let me know your player ratings as we go. So first off, I'll start with the goalkeeper, Robert Sanchez. I'll say Robert Sanchez 7. I'll give him a 7 because that goal, it could have been higher for that goal. You should save it. It's near post. It wasn't such a hot shot. It wasn't super blistering shot. You should have saved it at near post. And then I'll go to the defenders. Tosin Adebayo is someone I root for, someone I hope, from a Nigerian perspective, gets to play for Nigeria. And I hope, and I just think people don't give him enough respect. But for today's game, I'll probably give him a 7 as well, because during the start of the game, he struggled a lot with Rafael Leao. He struggled a lot, got beaten for pace a lot of the time. Rafael Leao physicality was a problem for him at some points, but overall, I think as the game went on, he came good as well. So fair play for him, I give him a 7. And then for Chalobah, I'll give Chalobah a 7 as well, because there was a free kick he considered the foul he gave away that he didn't have to. You had the AC Milan player, Rafael Leao, facing his own goal. He had his back to you. There's no need to try to do any super fantastic thing to win the ball. Just stay behind him and let him face his own goal. There's nothing he's going to do. He went on, put the pressure that he didn't have to put pressure on the player, on Leao. Leao, of course, oversold it, and the referee paid full price for it and awarded the penalty, awarded the free kick. So in that regard, I give him a 7. And then talking about Rich James, for me, I'll give Rich James a solid 9 today because he was up there in his performance, physicality, And then there was something funny that there's something that happened that I don't know if everyone noticed it. Once Rich James left, Rafael Leao then moved out to the right. Once Gusto came on for Rich James, Rafael Leao moved on to the right wing. So I'm sure probably he was scared of coming up against Rich James. So for Rich James, I give him a 9 over 10. And then for Cucurella, like I said, I give him a 9.5 because he was just a consummate Enzo Maresca a fullback. Inverted perfectly, defended well, dropped back, supported the team going forward, dropped into midfield very well. So for me, 9.5 in my opinion for Cucurella. Then you go into the midfield, Palmer. I'll give Palmer a 9. He didn't score, he didn't assist, but the way the game flowed through him was beautiful in my opinion. Then I go to Caicedo. Caicedo was Caicedo as well today. Wasn't super fantastic, but he was just Caicedo in my opinion. So I'll give him an 8 today because he dropped one of those steady performances for me. So Caicedo has an 8. And then you go on to Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez, I struggle to see how I give him anything more than a 5. I'll give him a 5 because he just really looked out of sorts today. Probably, like I said, I'll give him an out and I'll say he's tired, preseason. Didn't have a lot of time off for preseason, Club World Cup, and just maybe a couple of weeks off, come back. So maybe still getting into the swing of things, but he struggled today. So I'll give him a 5, in my opinion. And then Pedro Neto, someone I really struggled. I wish I could just say, 7. Probably I'll give him a 5 as well. He really struggled today. Pedro Neto struggled today, in my opinion. Then we go to João Pedro. For me, João Pedro, I'll give him a solid 9 because he put in that performance today. Not just his goals. Of course, his goals, super important. Goals win games, obviously. That's why we watch the game, to see goals. And he scored 4 goals in 3 games, if I'm not mistaken. Scored 2 against Fluminense, scored 1 against PSG, and then scored 1, against Bayer Leverkusen. Scored again today. So that's what we want to see from a striker. But then again as well, his link-up play, how we drop into midfield, link up with Palmer, spread the ball out to Pedro Neto, spread the ball out to Jamie Bino Gittins. And when he drops into midfield, that pulls centre-backs to places they don't want to be. Centre-backs don't want to find themselves in the midfield. They don't want to find themselves being pulled out wide. And that's what João Pedro, did in that game. And his space to run in behind as well. I think that's something that really, not really stated as much as it should be. So his space running behind. So I'll give him that 9 over 10. But Bino Gittins, for me, I look at Bino Gittins and I say, today I wanted to see him what he could do starting a game, and wanted to see him absolutely rip the AC Milan fullback to shreds with his pace and his skill and his trickery. But he went past the AC Milan defender, I think just once. I think it was once. I'll just say once or twice. There's one he went on the outside. I really like that because one thing I want to see from my winger is confuse your fullback. Make your fullback second guess what you want to do. Don't be predictable. And he went on the outside on his weaker left foot, step over, pap, R9 style, went on the outside, and then got fouled by the AC Milan fullback. And I wanted to see that more. So that's Musa. I wanted to see more of that. But I think Ruben Loftus-Cheek just saw that he was really skinning. He really skinned the AC Milan fullback. That's Musa. So he went close to sort of double up. And for some reason, I think Bruno Gittins probably caught a sight of him and sort of hesitated, became too hesitant in terms of going on the inside. So I can't give him a high grade. I'm sorry, because something that didn't work for me. I loved how he took his shot, but was a bit overhit and went off the bar. So for me, I'll give him a 6.5 because I think it was a lot better than Pedro Neto, but that wasn't really difficult to do in this game. So overall, 6.5. And then Esteban William came on. For me, I'll give him a 7. He didn't score a goal, but his runs into the box caused issues for AC Milan. And he made the fullback feel like, yeah, you have someone, you're coming up against a winger, you must sit up and take notice. So that's bare minimum we expect from your winger. So brilliant, play from Esteban William. Could have been a lot better, but we just give him a standard 7 in this game. It's a kid. You get this ebb and flows. You have the highs of yesterday and the somewhat lows of today. Not super low, not Pedro Neto low, but it wasn't the highs of Friday, but was still decent, if I put it that way. So 7 for him. And then we're going to Gusto. Gusto, I think, came on. Dido came with the minutes he had. So I'll give him a 7. Reggie Walsh came on as well. I don't want to be too harsh on the kid, but I'll say I just have to give him a 5. He didn't do that much, and maybe he didn't have to do that much because the game was well and truly over, even though Fofana got a goal back for AC Milan. But I think by that time the game was, sort of over. Hato again, he came on, played very well. I'll give him an 8. Defended well, slotted into that midfield well. So for me, once again, just like I say with Caicedo and Esugo, the same thing. Hato and Cucurella. You have someone now that can come off the bench and play the way Enzo Maresca wants to play. So that's good in my opinion. Someone that can come on, and defend as a left back, support the attack, drop into midfield, and do that seamlessly, do it naturally. So happy days for Hato. And then Liam Delap comes off the bench and smashes in 2 goals, one from the spot, well taken penalty. The other one was an absolute, it was a typical striker's finish. So top play for him in that regard. So I'll give him a solid 9 as well. Because a lot of people were trying to make it feel like, Liam Delap is okay, no, he's not good enough. No, he is good. He is good. But just like strikers like Sesko and like other players that have been signed, including players that have been signed by Chelsea, and including Esteban William, let me point that out right now. You're going to have those moments where the player struggles. You're going to have those moments, where the player has a dip in form or a dip in performance. And for me, the best way for Chelsea fans to look at this is not to be overly, not to go to the extreme on either way. If the player performs well, you don't go to the extreme of, he's the new Messi. If he has a dip that day, don't go, he's the worst player I've ever seen. So you're going to have those moments. And in the Club World Cup, Liam Delap showed that he could have those moments where he would struggle. And even the Club World Cup still, he showed his quality for the goal he scored as well. And in this game, in the last game of the Bayer Leverkusen preseason friendly, he showed his rawness and how he struggled. But in this game versus AC Milan, he showed the good sides of his game, expressive, his striker's instinct in the box, which is something you want to see. So I just want everyone to take notice of Liam Delap. You're going to have those moments. So just be calm with Liam Delap, in my opinion, because of the moments where you feel like he's the real bet of Harry Kane, of Alan Shearer. But just know he's a young kid who will come good eventually. So that's why it's good that you have João Pedro in the building. So some opinions with respect to those players. Esugo came on. I'll give him a rating of 8 as well because he came on and did what needed to be done. His tackles, won the balls, was physical. Though there was a moment in the game where I felt like he allowed Leao bully him a bit. I think he was looking for the free kick a bit too much, in my opinion. I felt like you have the physicality, match up to him. Match up to him. Don't just let him run over you. You can match him physically. Don't think the referees are going to give it to you. I'm sorry, Dario. This is Chelsea. You play for Chelsea. Referees don't usually give decisions. If they give decisions, well, you take it. You say, oh, well, you got a decision today. But match up. That's what it is. So I think he went down a bit too easy in that regard. But outside of that, I think he was very, very good today. So the play, I'll give him a solid 8. So overall, those are my thoughts and opinions on the game. And then there's one person I must talk about. I must talk about him. We've been talking about Colwell, who's been out injured, unfortunately. Sad for him because he's been coming into his own in terms of leadership on the pitch. His play has actually shown how he's improved from last 2 seasons. He's really matured. Levi Colwell is out, ACL surgery successful, but he needs to rest and fully recover. We have Josh Archiampong on the pitch today. He was fantastic, in my opinion. He was fantastic today. In my opinion. He was really, really good. When he came on, I think he came on for Chalobah. He was really good. He didn't put a foot wrong today. And I'm happy for him because sometimes you see young players, they make a mistake and they allow the mistake just bury them. Like, the mistake he made against Bayer Leverkusen in the previous game on Friday. He came in today, came off the bench, and he didn't allow that to bury him. One moment in the game where I really enjoyed this, I don't know if you all sort of caught this, was when he nutmegged Loftus-Cheek. That's one thing I really enjoyed in the game. That's like passing of the guard from one ex-Chelsea youngster to another Chelsea youngster. So that's why when I see Josh, I ask myself, do Chelsea really need to sign another, centre back? Now, if Chalobah is out injured, then means you have to sign a centre back. But looking at it, if you have a Tosin, you have a Chalobah, you have a Josh Archiampong, and then you have an Aaron Anselmino as well. Do we really need to sign another centre back? For me, I don't really think so. In my opinion, I don't think Chelsea really need to go out there to sign a centre back now. If you just join in, thank you for joining. Talking about the Chelsea game where Chelsea have defeated AC Milan, 4-1, top performance, goals from Liam Delap, goals from João Pedro, and an own goal as well. So brilliant performance overall. So total opinions on the game. Let me know what you think in the chat. And I'm right now talking about Josh Archiampong. I think when you have like of Aaron Anselmino, Josh Archiampong, Tosin Adarabioyo, even Chalobah as well, and let's not forget Wesley Fofana is still there. Right now he's fit. Although I feel his minutes have to be managed because he may catch a cold and then he gets injured. So his minutes have to be managed. So when you have all these players in, do you still need to sign another centre back? Do you need to splurge the cash and go out there to sign a centre back? I'm just thinking about, I want to know your opinions in the chat. Do Chelsea actually need to sign a centre back? Because when you look at Archiampong's performance against Bayer Leverkusen, against AC Milan today, he looked like he belongs. And that's what I keep saying. For young players, the highest compliment you can pay for a young centre back, for a young player, regardless of position, is that they look like they are meant to be there. And he looks like he's meant to be in that team. Now, the only time young players get opportunities is a player is injured, someone is red carded, suspended for a couple of games or 3 games, if it's maybe for, V conduct. So that's the way I think, that's when young players get opportunities. So unfortunately, Levi Colwell, has got injured, done the surgery, needs recovery time and all that stuff. So I think this is an opportunity. This is Josh Archiampong's opportunity. You may say he's too young, but he's coming on the pitch and he's showing you that he's able. And let's not forget, he is not just someone from the academy this season. He came off, he was given his opportunity under Pochettino. He showed that he was meant for, for the first team. Enzo Maresca followed up with more opportunities. He showed that, yes, I'm meant for the first team. So I think maybe Chelsea don't need to go out and splurge on another centre back. Those some opinions. Let me know in the chat. Do Chelsea really need to go out there and splurge on another centre back? I don't think so. That's just my humble opinion. And now, what do you think about Robert Sanchez's performance? Robert Sanchez's performance going into the season. Do you still feel super confident of him, as the goalkeeper leading Chelsea, into the season? And what are your expectations of the season, even with Rob Sanchez? For me, I'll say this: I've maintained this all through this off season that Chelsea should be the best of the rest. Now, if at some point in the season Liverpool slip up, Man City slip up, Arsenal slip up, then Chelsea should be there or thereabouts to take advantage. But my expectations for Chelsea this season is to be their best of the rest. Finish comfortably in the Champions League spot. Don't have to struggle with 5 games to go. Be comfortable comfortably seated in a top 4 spot, 3rd or 4th, with maybe 6 to 7 points, 2 games to go ahead of the 4th or 5th place team, comfortably in there, and then win either the FA Cup or the League Cup. You've got that in your kitty, and then have a winning record against every team from, if you finish 3rd, from 3rd below. If you finish 4th, from the 5th team below, have a winning record against all these teams. Because I think there's certain areas in this team where, though we've improved a lot, but you have other areas where you look at it and say it will really affect Chelsea's ability to compete for the league title this season. No, I'm a Chelsea fan. Winning titles is what we do. Winning trophies is what we do. And I would love to say, okay, Chelsea definitely go out there, win the league title. But I want to be a bit realistic. Robert Sanchez, he will have his moments where you think he is the fusion of Iker Casillas, Peter Cech, and Edwin van der Sar. But you will also have moments where you wonder, has this guy ever stood in the goal before? Like today for the AC Milan goal. The defense played a part, but the way the ball was struck and the angle that the ball was struck towards, he should have saved it. So because we have Robert Sanchez, I'm not 100% confident Chelsea can, because Chelsea would have to be scoring 3 goals at least, minimum, in every game for you to guarantee that, yeah, Robert Sanchez can be that goalkeeper. Because there are games where he will just do what he did today and you've lost a point. If you're leading 1-0, you've lost a point. Or you've dropped all 3. So when you look at it, I don't think that, it's not sustainable to think that the team can go into every game smashing teams 4-0, 5-0, 3-0, with 65 minutes left on the clock. I don't think so. So because of that, I just think Chelsea probably, finishing in the top 4 comfortably would be what I would take from Chelsea this season. I would stem as a successful season, as minimum, as progression from last season. And then Champions League, you go as far as you can go. I'm not even thinking we can win it, but go as far as we can go. But let's see how the season starts. The first game of the season will be starting next week. So let me know your opinions. Who would you want to start for Chelsea come next season? For me, João Pedro starts number 9. No questions about that. And I used to be of the mindset that João Pedro will play, for a bit, at that right wing slot before you have before you have Esther Williams take his spot. But the way he's performed today and yesterday a bit, I think João Pedro could be very close to being a starter come the start of the season proper. So I'll go with Esther Williams to start. And then I'll go with Cole Palmer in the 10 role for sure, 100%. Then on the left, despite what I pointed out today, I think Gittins will start that left wing. And, Tyler George can come off the bench for him. Garnacho, I think this Garnacho deal will drag on a bit because I think Chelsea, they're looking to sell Jackson and Christopher Nkunku before going out there, before completing the deal for Garnacho. While reports say Chelsea have agreed personal terms, with Garnacho, but you still have to agree a transfer fee with Manchester United. So Chelsea are feeling like you need to get Nkunku out of the building, you need to get Nicholas Jackson out of the building, then we can go get, Xavi Simons. So let's see how that will pan out overall. So for me, I think Gittin starts out wide on the left. 10 role, there's no argument about who starts there. That's Cole Palmer. That's Cole Palmer. He starts out there. And then in the heart of the midfield, I know I've complained about Enzo Fernandez today. He didn't have, his best game, one of his best performances by any stretch of the imagination. So he gets to start today. So he gets to start going into the season. And then Caicedo, what can I say? Caicedo must start. There's no, if he doesn't start on his feet, then you begin to question Maresca. So he's going to start for sure 100%. And left back, though you have Hato playing very well, coming in and being more than an adequate replacement for Cucurella when he comes on. Cucurella is the master and he has to start, in my opinion. There's no questions about that. Then it gets a bit trickier when you get to the heart of the defense because you have what's his face out, Liverpool out. So for me, I would go with Tosin and Josh Archie-Ampong as it is right now, bury any other centre back. And for Wesley Fofana, I would like him to be gradually, eased in and his minutes managed because he's injury prone. Let's face it. Let's accept it for what it is. And then you go to the right back position. Though Gusto, 2 seasons ago showed himself as someone that can adequately replace Rich James. And then last season he struggled a bit. I just think he had problems acclimatizing to how Enzo Maresca wanted his team to play. And I said it before, shoveling Malo Gusto into the midfield is not the best way to use him. If you want a typical fullback that overlaps, then he's your man. But if you want this specialist thing that Enzo Maresca wants to do, having your midfielder, your fullback stuck in midfield, then Gusto is not your man. So, despite the fact that Gusto is a very good player, I think Rich James will start, in my opinion, and should start, in my opinion, as the actual, starting right back. So, those are opinions on my sort of starting lineup for my starting lineup for Chelsea going into the season. Let me know what you think. What did you think of the performance overall? What did you even think of Enzo Maresca? Now, I'll give Enzo Maresca a grading for this game. I'll give him a 9.5. Why would I give him a 9.5? If you watch the various channels I've been on throughout last season, and if you're going to watch, and if you watch this channel as well, one thing I pointed out about Enzo Maresca was his inability to adapt. And when I speak to people, they think that I'm being overly critical. I don't like fullbacks inverting. For me, the way I look at football is one of the purest expressions of art. There are different ways to win, there are different ways to apply your team, there are different ways to set up your team. That's the beauty of football. But one thing I also feel about football is when you set your team up in a particular way and you see that the opposition has set themselves up in a way to counter your usual style of play, then you should be able to adapt and tweak it and change it a bit. I just felt like Enzo Maresca didn't do that enough last season. Fair play, Chelsea got into the Champions League spot. Kudos to him. Fair play, Chelsea won the Club World Cup. Fair play to him. But one thing I've seen in this game, and to be fair, saw in the Club World Cup final, is his ability to adapt and tweak things a bit. Now, last season, Chelsea rarely went long. The teams would press, squeeze the Chelsea defense into its own half. They'll still want to pass those short passes, from the back. But in the game versus Bayer Leverkusen, in the PSG game, in this game, he said, okay, you want to press us? Go on. We're going to play that ball long. We're going to go long. And then this new introduction of those inverted crosses into the box from midfield, from the wingers inverting and drifting to midfield, put the crosses into the box. That's something new as well. We saw it. We saw Tyreek George try it in the game versus Bayer Leverkusen, and Liam Delap almost caught from it. The goalkeeper made a good save, even if he barely knew about it. So with all those little tweaks here and there, that's something I like because that shows that you want to win. Because you see a lot of young coaches, they set their team up one way, they see their team struggling, and they just put their hand, yeah. And at the end of the game, they tell you my philosophy. There's just like one coach. There's one coach in the Premier League that I don't know why he's made me feel this way, but he's one coach I wish I could hire, sack, hire, fire, sack, hire him, sack him 5 more times. And he's now the coach of Rangers. He got his team relegated by being super stubborn, always passing out from the back. That Russell Martin, always passing out from the back, always passing out from the back, and cost his team a Premier League status, in my opinion. So for me, it's good to see that Enzo Maresca is really adapting, has really made the system adaptable. And that's why I think getting Xavi Simons in the building will be very, very good for Chelsea, because that then even allowed Enzo Maresca to be super flexible tactically. Because if you get the Xavi Simons in and you have an Estevao Willian, you've seen how he's being used sometimes more centrally, you have a Cole Palmer already in the building, then one thing you're going to get for sure is you would see Xavi Simons, Cole Palmer, and Estevao Willian all start as 3-10. So it would be a 9-4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. And then you can then see fullbacks fully overlapping. That's a style, that's a formation I would like to see as well. So you can imagine Cole Palmer, Estevao, Xavi Simons, dovetailing. That's just football. I won't say it on here, but that's just beautiful. That would just be beautiful football to watch, in my opinion. So let's see if the Xavi Simons deal is done, and Garnacho deal, I don't really care that much about it. If it gets done, it gets done. I'm not going to fight about it, but let's see how that all shakes out. So I want to say a big thank you to all those who've been watching this stream from the start. And you can also follow me on X, on Ugo, at Ugo Talks Chelsea on X. And if you're new to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell to be notified each time a video goes on live on the channel. And I'll see you on yet another video. So stay well, stay blessed. Bye-bye.